Hi, all, and welcome to Treasure Vortex with Gypsy Jules from YouTube Zero Discrimination, as well as gypsydigs.com, and myself, Amanda Digger Degaz. Special guest tonight is Marc Hoover, which we are very excited about. But before we bring Marc in, hey, Gypsy, how are you?
Hey, I am wonderful. How about yourself?
I am doing good. I'm doing good. Nice long weekend.
Yeah. Oh, but it was nice for you getting a nice long weekend. So those are always nice. My weekends are always long. So.
Sure. Rub it in. Rub it in.
I'm sorry. That didn't mean I get to go detecting every weekend or anything like that. You know.
Well, did you get out this weekend?
I sure did. So I was lucky enough. Every year, Labor Day weekend. Sorry, we go to kind of West Texas, and I'd say it's Northwest actually. Anyway, we go to a family reunion at an old Civil War fort, and I get to see my cousins and everything, and a lot of them, have places to go and metal detect and dig. But actually, when I was at Florida, at the Florida, let's see, our guests would know, I guess it was Florida Hunt 8, I was talking to some people that I'd met, and him and his wife, and they said, we were talking about where they were from, and they said, oh, we're from Grand, Texas, and I was like, oh, really? I've got family there, Well, anyway, got to talking to them, and they were like, oh, come up, anytime, and we exchanged information, and come detect, and also I know we're a great old dump is there. Ooh. So I hollered at him before I left, said, hey, I'm coming to town tomorrow. I leave in the morning. And sure enough, got to meet up with them and go to their house and see their, his finds. And he took me to an old dump there, and we dug in the dump, and it was so much fun.
Awesome.
So much fun. And then the next day, we went, my cousin and my dad and I, which it was great to see my dad to get out, and because he was not feeling good that first day we got there, unfortunately, but he got to feeling better, and the next day he got out with me and my cousin, and we went fossil hunting, and then I realized the reason why I bought an off-road vehicle, because I got stuck in the mud pulling off to go fossil hunting. I didn't realize there was a bunch of red mud there until I tried to pull out, and it was stuck, and so put it into gear, and it just pulled right on out. So nice. I was so thankful for that. And anyway, found some amazing fossils, so I made a video of that. So then, after the reunion, I always go to the museum there at the reunion, and I talked to the curator and the guy that runs the fort there, and we actually talked about, once I get my production company going, me doing a documentary. He's actually written a book as well. Amazing guy. And even doing like some, reenactments. He's got all those connections. So we're going to work on a project together. And he's actually bought a metal detector from me, so I'm going to come up and show him, kind of how to use it. And he's going to be working with one of the universities to do a little thing there at the fort where they're going to do an excavation. And I may get to go help with that, so really excited about that. Then after the reunion, I got to go metal detect. So, I just had an amazing weekend, and I went metal detecting today, too. I didn't find much today, definitely going to go back to the property that we went to today, but my friend Shauna and I went. But it's great to be back, but I'm just kind of out of it today because I sweat like, you before the show we were talking about the heat, and I know that you're getting the rain there. We've had a lot of rain lately here, but now we're getting the heat and humidity from all that rain. And then I know our guest is getting that heat, and so today didn't last all that long. I was drenched in sweat. I mean, literally drenched. So it was bad. Anyway, trying to rehydrate, and I ended up coming back. I even drank a cup of coffee, tried to wake myself up, and it didn't help. I just crashed. Took a nap, so now I'm a little groggy, so y'all forgive me. But we're glad you're all here with us tonight, and I just can't wait to hear about you because I know I saw some amazing stuff that you got out recently. Tell us what you found.
I found a 1700s farthing. I can see George II and Britannia on the back. It's in awful, awful shape because it's a farm field copper. And
right.
I also found a little teeny tiny padlock, and you all know I love padlocks, so I was very excited to find it.
I love that thing.
Yeah, it was very neat. It was very neat.
It's a little tiny.
Yep. Yep, and I got out mudlarking and found the usuals, found lots of beads and marbles and stuff like that. A couple little bottles that were too cute to leave behind. But
right.
Yep, it was a good time. But I know that our guest has lots and lots and lots to share. So how about we bring him on in?
I think that's a great idea.
Right.
Hi, Amanda. Hi, Gypsy. How are y'all?
Hi, Mark. We're doing great. You heard about our weekend.
I know. I think we should reverse this. I think what I should do is interview both of you guys, since all the stuff you did and all the things that you found. That's amazing.
Everybody here, they hear us week in and a week out, so they're probably getting bored with us now.
Yeah.
So that's why we love to hear, all about our guests. And I don't think we've ever had you on here, so
I have waited for years. I've waited for years and years to come on this show. Years.
Awesome.
I mean, decades.
Wow. Yeah, before, Amanda and I did it under the old name, All Metal Mode, and then we just, changed it this year to the Treasure Vortex. And, hey, you're here, so we're really excited. Really excited. So I'm trying to think where I first met you, Mark. Which hunt was that at? Do you remember?
I don't know. Did we meet at the Garrett
it was at the
hunt?
Garrett hunt. I think it was that very first Garrett Memorial hunt that I went to.
Right. That's where it was at.
I think it was before I was sponsored. Wasn't it?
I don't think so. I think you were with Garrett because the first one I went to was the Garrett Memorial Hunt 3. I missed 1 and 2.
Okay,
I was
so
actually
maybe
planning
by
on.
then.
Yeah, I was planning on going to 2, but then they were sold out by the time I was going to buy a ticket, and so I missed it. So I started it on 3.
Okay, so yeah, it could have been. It might have been when I was. It had to have been when I was very first sponsored, though. I would guess.
But I think, Gypsy, that we had you on as a guest in Relic's Radio, didn't we?
You did, yeah. I think I've been on there maybe twice.
And, I was booking guests for a while for Loy and Jeff, and I think that's where you and I first chatted and set you up as a guest, and then that's where we met at the Garrett hunt.
And then met at the Garrett hunt again.
Right.
Yeah. Met your lovely wife. And and we've been friends ever since. So,
and we have a lot of commonality. You know, I'm from Texas.
Right, we're in Texas. I already forgot.
Odessa.
I talked to too many people. Odessa, that is so weird. Wow. Yeah, I lived in Odessa for a while. Yep. Oh gosh. Yep. Mojo.
But all I remember, because I was a little kid when we moved, I remember tumbleweeds, horned toads, dust storms. I remember the oil well things going up and down.
Oh, yeah.
And just being really hot.
Yep. That's pretty much it in West Texas. That's pretty much it. And the dust storms. You know.
And the dust storms. You know, I'm reading the chat here, and I'm almost dying laughing already. Bill Marsh says, listen to Gypsy trying to get some of Gail's strawberry jelly.
Oh, boy. I see. She already loves me, though. She's the sweetest thing ever.
And,
so.
Amanda, we'll definitely have to get you a jar of it. We travel, wherever we travel, we always take a couple of jars with us, and Gail makes strawberry jelly. She makes guava jelly, too. Now, I don't like guava myself, but some people absolutely love it.
I don't think I've tried that.
We've given it away to some of the folks. Most people want strawberry, but if you ever come down to Florida, Amanda, we'll make sure that you get taken care of down there.
That would be great. Yeah, I mean it. I looked today. I was looking at trying to figure out flights, and then I got sidetracked. But Marc, for the people in the audience who might not know, how long and how did you get into treasure hunting, and how long have you been a treasure hunter?
You know, Amanda, that's a great question. And when you mentioned that earlier today, I started thinking about it, and I realized, and I'm going to make a comment. I don't know whether you agree with me or not, but I think for most of it's in our DNA when we're born. And when I was young, I used to, before anybody used to talk about treasure hunting, I used to read every article I could find on Mel Fisher looking for the Senora Nuestra de Atocha down in South Florida, and of course there's a long history of that. I could tell you everything that he was doing. I knew what he was doing. When I was in high school, I wanted to get certified to dive just so I could go, work for him and dive for treasure. So I know back then that it was something that just fascinated me. I don't know why, but I can only say that I think it's in our DNA. I think you really want to do this. It's part of you. It's something. So, I can't say when. I mean, I have, milestones of when I did certain things that people would relate to, but as far back as I can remember, I've always been interested in it.
It's fantastic. And I agree. I agree. Or it got passed down to us, the enjoyment of it.
Right. And it's, like I talked to a lot of people where they went out with their father or their granddad and they just fell in love with it. And they might have even gone away from it for a few years or maybe even a lot of years and then they come back to it and they say, I remember going out with my dad or my granddad or my grandparents, and I remember how much fun I had, and it kind of reliving those memories as a kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zips.
Oh no. Sorry, I was trying to type at the same time and I messed up. I can't even spell Michael. Sorry, Michael. My brother's name is Michael. So, I forgot what I was saying. Just keep on. Sorry.
Well, let me just give a shout out to Michael. That's Michael Boyles. Michael is just retired from military service. One of my really good friends. Mike taught me a lot about how to use an ugly box for cleaning coins and stuff. And Mike and I have gone on several hunts together here, Florida hunts. Great guy. Love hunting with him. So shout out to Michael. Going back to getting it all started, I somewhere along the line, Gail, my wife, bought me a metal detector, and I think it was like a Radio Shack. I went and played with it for a little bit, didn't do very much with it, just kind of set it off to the side.
See, I knew I liked her for a really good reason.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, well, she knew. I mean, she would, she paid attention.
She saw that
she
in
knew
you.
That, exactly.
The treasure
and wanted to do that. And she's actually very responsible for me getting back into it. And I'll share that with you in a minute. But back in 2011, I met a guy that bought a piece of property up in Kentucky, and it was 300 acres, absolutely phenomenal piece of property, had 2 natural springs on it. And it was part of the original Hatfields and McCoy's property.
Oh,
and
wow.
He said, "Hey, you want to go up there and visit?" And I said, "Sure, I'd love to." I didn't have a metal detector at that time. And we went up there and we talked to the previous owner, and he was talking about, some of the stuff they had found, some of the Native American and some of the coins they had found on. I was like, I was just drooling. I mean, I was like, I need to, and I said, I know this place near where we live in Orlando. It's called Kellyco. It's the largest distributor of metal detectors in the country. Why don't we pick a day when we get back? Let's go meet, and you buy a metal detector, I'll buy a metal detector, and let's go back to Kentucky and just hunt this thing. So we made this plan to do it, and I showed up, and he didn't.
Oh.
And, it goes back to you're either into it or you're not. And I spent probably the whole day or half a day there just learning everything that I could learn and looking at metal detectors. And anyway, I ended up buying one, bought a Garrett AT Pro. And that was my first real, what I would call my first real detector back in 2011.
Right.
And you know what? I never got to go back to that property.
Oh man.
But I did take it over to the beach, and I used it for about 2 or 3 months. And then, I wasn't involved with anybody
exciting find, if you don't mind me putting in there.
Not at all. The first exciting find for me was a tiny little silver cross. And I thought that was so cool. And I thought, this is a sign. This is a sign I'm supposed to find this. And then I found another one. And I still have both of them. I found lots of clad coins and things on the beach. So it was enough to pique my interest, but not enough to keep me going because I didn't have any friends, nobody else to do it with. And so I kind of set it off to the side. And then in 2016, 6 years ago, Gail said, "You know what? You need a hobby. You need a hobby." I was working too much. And I'm still working. But so I picked 2 hobbies. I started metal detecting on Saturday, and I started golfing on Sunday. And, it's one of those things where you either enjoy something or you don't. And I enjoyed the metal detecting so much. I said, look, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it full on. So we're going to join a club. There's a club here in Orlando. I looked it up. And so we went to the first meeting in 2016, January 2016. We went to the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club. And I think that, as they say, the rest is history.
Wow. That is so cool.
This is this year is the 50th anniversary of the club. And of course,
Really?
Gypsy, you are the special guest, one of our special guests, coming up on October 8th. But yeah, this is our 50th year. And so the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club is one of the oldest and largest clubs in the country. Yeah, it's just a great club. I've just really enjoyed the friendships that we've made, the people we've gotten to know. And I think, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, that's what it took for me to really get hooked on the hobby. Just the people that I've met, the friends that we've made,
Right.
some of the hunts we've gone to. Yeah, so that's really, Gail and I have just really traveled around now and just met so many wonderful people that regardless of what I do for work, this is what I'll be doing for my passion, for as long as I can. Right. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the hunt coming up, if you don't mind.
Well, sure. And I love talking about it because, it's coming up on October 8th, a month from now. And hopefully anybody listening to this that, that might be willing to come or might want to come, this will be the 9th annual Central Florida Metal Detecting Club Silver and Relic Hunt. Say that again, 5 times. It's the 50th anniversary, but the 9th annual, and we had to not do it for the last couple of years because of COVID. We had to find a new piece of property, and so the church that we've been meeting in has a piece of property that they're going to allow us to have the hunt on. And a lot of our members have been working real diligently to get the property ready, and it's going to be a fantastic hunt. So, Gypsy, you're one of our special guests, and KG and Ringy, and we're going to have all the manufacturers. So Garrett will be there, Mind Lab, Note to Macro, First Texas, we'll all be there. And so right now we're hoping to get up to 200 people. We're going to cut it off at 200. We're not quite there yet, but we're still looking for more people who might be interested in coming.
Okay.
So
that's so exciting. Amanda.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's been too long. I'm having Amanda withdrawals, so okay, go ahead.
And then what's funny is there's a lot of hunts coming up in October. There's one in Chicago the same weekend in October 8th, and then I heard there was another one around that same time. But then the other one that we're going to is right after that weekend, probably midweek the following week. We're leaving for Arkansas for Treasure Fest 5 in Mufreesboro, Arkansas, with Brandon Sutton and his crew, and they just put on an unbelievable hunt. The stuff they give away is unreal. It's 4,000.
It's unreal.
Well, you tell them.
No, that's the Kadoha Treasure Fest, right?
Kadoha, yeah.
Kadoha.
Yeah.
It is amazing, and the prizes. I had one of the prizes that I won, and I didn't, I barely hunted because for me, to go to these hunts, I'm not out there to win a bunch of prizes. I don't really hunt silver hunts, if that makes, hunt silver hunts. I don't hunt a lot of seeded hunts because, number one, I am sponsored. But if I ever do hunt and I win a little prize, a lot of times I end up giving, I give it away either on here or I give it away in the other thing, on my channel or something like that. And I had one of the little things that I'd forgotten that I won at that Kadoha hunt, and it has these little Native American arrowheads and beads in there. And my brother saw it the other day and he went nuts over it because he's really into arrowhead hunting and everything. And I was sitting there debating, should I give that to him or should I keep it for my hunt that I'm going to be doing? But yeah, Brandon does an amazing job. And I'm only hoping mine's half as good as his hunt. So I'll let Mark tell you more about that, but I will be at that hunt as well. And it's really one of the season hunts that's well worth it if you could make it. Oh, my gosh. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, excuse me. Hold on, I got to get a drink of water. Go ahead and talk.
Now, Gypsy, you've been to the Florida hunt before, right?
I have been to the Florida hunt 8, but this hunt that Mark is talking about that we'll be going to is a different Florida hunt. This is for the longtime club that he's been a member of. And what's the name of y'all's club again?
Yeah, so it's a Central Florida Metal Detecting Club. So in short, we just call it the CFMDC.
Okay.
And so to distinguish the two hunts, Florida Hunt 8 is done at a camp that supports our military veterans up in North Florida. And it's a fundraising event where everybody who goes, you're really donating to help support the camp. And they have horseback riding, they have canoeing, fishing, all the activities for the veterans. And so Greg Papalo started that 7 or 8 years ago, and then we moved it to this camp, Freedom, 3 or 4 years ago, and it's been a great event ever since. So that's what Gypsy was talking about, Florida Hunt 8, and we've done it there the last 3 years. Now, what we're talking about for our hunt in October, which used to be in April, but it's in October now, is our club hunt. And so we're doing our club hunt on October 18th. Now, on October 15th and 16th is Treasure Fest 5 in Arkansas. And what makes that really special is the property itself is the owner actually hunted for Native American artifacts when he was a youth, and just like us, it was part of his DNA, and he ended up buying the property. And they did a lot of excavations there and preserved the property for where the burial grounds were and things like that. And now he trades Native American artifacts around the world, obviously legally. But the prizes they put up is just incredible. They have 4,000 prizes, and they have tokens for that. They put tokens out. They have 10 $100 tokens. Typically, they do 10 $1,000 tokens and then one $5,000 token. And this year, they're going to take the $5,000 and put it into gold coins. So I don't know if they're going to split that up into, gold coins, or somebody's going to win $5,000 worth of gold. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. This, last year, the last one we did in April, Ringy, Tim Saylor, won a Civil War musket. Which is pretty cool.
That musket was neat. Oh, that was neat that he won.
So they're doing the same thing. They're still signing up people for that one, but that's a 2-day event. It's Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. We're looking forward to going to both of them.
Do you have any idea how many people have signed up for that one yet, or?
I don't. Their goal, and they haven't gotten there yet. Their goal is to get it up to 300, and then they'll cut it off. It's going to be somewhere between 200 and 300. And ours is going to be cut off at 200, and I think we're going to get somewhere between 160 and 200.
Okay.
So,
awesome. What was so cool about that Kadoha hunt, when I went there this last time, I remember going there with my grandparents when I was very young, and we had went up to, not far from there is the Diamond Mine. And we went to the Diamond Mine, and after the Diamond Mine, we went over there and went in through that little museum there and checked out that really cool store there and saw the mounds and all that. And then then many years later, my boys, we were traveling with my parents on a little vacation. We took them to the diamond mine, and then we took them there, and it was very nostalgic going there again, and it was like reminiscent of all those memories. It was really cool. It's a really cool place. But I thought it was really cool that when I got there, I was like, oh, I know this place.
Yeah, that's Crater of Diamond State Park. It's the only state park in the U.S. where you can actually go look for diamonds. And it's 2 miles from
really
Cadeau.
cool.
Yeah, so it's a great place. And then, it's, an hour from there is maybe a little more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half is state national park. So Hot Springs National Park. So if you fly into, for example, Little Rock, you can go to Hot Springs National Park. It's the smallest national park in the United States. So there's a lot to do in that whole area.
There really is. In Hot Springs, I haven't been there in a long time, but oh my gosh. But let's see. We talked about those hunts. What else do you have coming up?
Oh boy. Well, and you've been involved in it. I've been working with the team in Utah called Uncharted Expedition. And we've got we're filming, looking for treasure out there. And so I can't say a whole lot about it other than we've got to film one more episode, and then the first episode is going to air. We know it's going to episode on the internet. We don't, if anybody picks it up, then that'll change everything. But it's designed. It's going to be released on Amazon Prime on the internet November 25th. And so I've got one more trip out to Utah to finish that up, and then of course you're in one of the episodes, and KG and Ring, you're in one of the episodes. So that's a lot of fun. I mean, I've been enjoying that, but it got so hot in the summer that it's just really difficult to do anything out there right now.
No, yeah, Mark, just to double check, you said it's going to air on Amazon Prime on November 25th?
Yes.
Perfect.
That's the plan. That's what we're planning now. They are talking to a European distributor about possibly picking it up and having it aired in Europe, but we haven't had any discussions with anybody in the United States yet.
Just had to mark it on my calendar.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll make sure everybody knows. So we're doing that, and then let's see what else is coming up. Well, we're looking forward to the Garrett Memorial Hunt in April of next year. So sorry we had to wait an extra year, but we can't wait to go back there as well. We're really looking forward to that. That's always been one of our favorite hunts.
Yeah, if y'all can make it to Texas. And then once I get my hunt wrapped up, which I've been talking to Mark a lot about that and started some of my planning and stuff, which I can't believe it's drug on this long. So at least I've got pretty much everything planned. It's just a matter of putting it all into action as soon as I get this locked in. But I'm still planning on doing a hunt as well. And hopefully I can get a lot of you to come to Texas that have never been to Texas. So, Mark.
Well, the location is right and the time of year is right. Yeah, the seasons are right to come to Texas.
Definitely, because it is way too hot right now, and usually by then, and Texas is weird weather. Well, from going to were you there at I think it was not Canton, it was that hunt, one of the Charles Garrett Memorial hunts where, when it was like really warm 1 minute, and then all of a sudden this real cold front storm moved in and it was freezing.
Jefferson, Texas.
Jefferson, yes. Oh my gosh. So Texas
weather we were there
that way. Yeah. I never will forget that day. Whew.
Yeah, but
so you got to be prepared.
Well, we're looking forward to your hunt too. So if you hopefully you get a chance to have that, and we look forward to coming
Hopefully
to that.
Tomorrow I get all that locked in, and then I'm going to be blasting it. So it would be great to see all of you get to make it. So,
And
for sure.
so Tim asked in chat, and actually there's another question I saw in chat too. We'll have to go back to. And I had it lined up, but I was going to ask about Nome, Alaska, and what'd you think about it? And Tim also asked what your thoughts were on the trip to Alaska.
Yeah, that's one of those bucket list trips. Always wanted to go to Alaska, let me back up a second. So Gail and I went to Alaska 15 years ago on a cruise. And, of course, you see Juneau, you do salmon fishing, you see some amazing things, you see the glaciers, but really wanted to go into, the interior and do something like metal detecting or gold prospecting. And it was a phenomenal trip with a great group of folks that were there. And Chuck Smalley arranged the trip for all of us, and we were allowed to sign up, and so it was great. I mean, we flew into Anchorage first day, and then the next day we flew to Nome, and we were there for a week. And of course, Tim, the guy's amazing. I mean, he found the largest nugget, so I got to throw that out there. And I just remember looking over and seeing George Wyant, King George, KG,
King George,
shouting and yelling about finding a nugget. And I go, oh boy, here we go, So, and then about 30 minutes later, Tim found a nugget, and that thing was a honking nugget, almost an ounce big.
Oh, so, my goodness.
That really set the tone for the week. So congratulations, Tim, on that recovery. Now, I didn't find any. Yeah, I didn't personally find any nuggets, but Mike Slater, who's up there, I got to give the guy a lot of credit. He works up there, and he gold prospects in Arizona, and so he took some of us out that hadn't found anything, and he said, Mark, I'm going to pinky swear that you're going to find gold. And so he actually took us out, and we found some smaller pickers of gold. Nice. So everybody came home with gold, and
awesome.
If you wanted to do the backbreaking work, you could do the all day. You could do all that. And, we went out, a lot of wildlife there. They told us that it was the best weather they had in two years. Nice and warm, awesome. Or warmer, and just cool enough to keep the mosquitoes down a little bit, but saw the muskox, saw the fox. Some people went fishing, had a phenomenal fishing trip. So we just did a lot of stuff that just experienced.
One thing that I know that some of our listeners may be very interested, especially those that do gold prospecting and gold nugget shooting and all that. Tell us about what you were getting to test there.
Oh, yeah. So, I was, because Garrett is the sponsor of Uncharted Expedition, we're using a lot of the Garrett equipment. So we worked it out with Garrett to use their new Garrett Axiom Ultra Pulse metal detectors. And those things are phenomenal. Now, that's what KG and Ringy found their nuggets with. And I think they found 6 altogether with those machines.
Wow.
And I know they're coming out soon. They hadn't been released yet when we were up there, but we had 4 of them up there. And what I really like about them is they're really light. They're incredibly light for a PI machine, a pulse induction machine, number one.
Right.
Number 2 is they do have the ability to discriminate iron. In other words, there's a button on the machine that if you get a signal, and there's a lot of iron up there, a lot of different types of signals, but if you push this one button, it'll grunt. It'll literally grunt over iron. And I dug the iron for probably the first, 2 hours. And I was always checking it, and it would give me the iron signal. And I would dig it, and I'd say, darn it, it's iron. It's telling me it's iron, and it's iron. And so after that, I just quit digging the iron. But that's a nice feature to have. And I think the other thing, too, was a lot of the other machines were picking up hot rocks. And this machine just cuts right through the hot rocks. Hot rocks don't bother it at all. Of course, it's a pulse machine, so you would expect that.
Right.
So great machines. And what I would just say is anybody that's looking at a gold machine, I would absolutely highly recommend it. Now, I know a lot of people were upset that it wasn't really designed for being a water/beach machine. It's not that you can't use it there, but it's really designed more for gold. And we did, Gary Penton and I did test them on the beach, and I actually found some stuff there. We both found some stuff on the beach, but that's not what it's designed for. It's really designed as more of a gold machine.
Cool. So for those hardcore gold prospecting people, that's something that they really might want to look at. I would definitely recommend looking into that. And one of my favorite features about it too is that carbon fiber shaft on that thing. The way that thing just folds up. Can you tell them a little bit more about the design?
Yeah, so that's what makes it what they've done with that machine. I love what the engineers have done. So the battery and all of that is built into the shaft, and then you have the head unit, and then you got the telescoping carbon fiber shaft, which makes it light. But not only is it light, but because you've got the coil, and then you've got the batteries on the other end, it's very well balanced, so it doesn't feel like, even the weight that's there is so well balanced that you can use it all day long. Your arm's not getting tired. I mean, literally not getting tired. I used it all day long and didn't get tired using it. And that's what a lot of people complain about using a pulse machine is the battery packs on them are so heavy. They just, just wears them out. But the other thing too is when you're traveling with these, we had ATVs and we would just collapse them down to a very short unit, put them on the ATVs, and then carry them around that way. So it made it very convenient to move around with the detectors. Yeah, they did a great job on those, and I think a lot of people are going to be very pleased with them. Now, I think the jury is still out on how are these going to do with looking for bullets, Civil War bullets and things up in Virginia and places like that. So I think and I know they've tested it up there, and I know they've done pretty well. So I haven't done that myself, but I think that'll be the next area. So it'll be gold and maybe Civil War relics and things like that. So
very cool.
I'm thankful they let us use them. Those are good machines, definitely. But overall, we had a great trip. To Alaska. Spent a day in Anchorage. Went around to all the stores. Picked up a lot of Native American stuff. So really, really enjoyed that. And I highly recommend anybody that gets a chance to go up to Alaska, do it. Just make your decision. You're going to do it. Save up the money and just go. You'll never regret going up to Alaska. And, I guess the last thing I'll mention is we did get a chance to meet Steve Ballmarinke from Bering Sea Gold. And he did a clean out while we were there. And, the guy's just so nonchalantly holding a water hose, washing down all the gold. And we're all sitting there looking at each other like, do you see what I'm seeing? And, there's nuggets laying in the pan. And like, are you going to pick that nugget up? And they would pick it up and let us hold it and pass it around. And, well, hey, Steve, how much gold is in that pan? Oh, I don't know, maybe $350,000, $400,000 worth of gold. And that's 3 or 4 days worth of cleanup.
Oh man, that's crazy.
So,
gosh.
So we had a great time.
That is too cool. Well, I know we've got a few more questions for you.
I did find the question that was in chat. Michael wanted to know for the Central Florida metal detecting hunt if children are allowed to hunt in all the hunts or only in the kid hunt.
It's a great question. All the kids 12 and under can hunt for free in the kids hunt. If they want to hunt in the other hunts, they have to buy a ticket just like everybody else. But they can hunt for free in the kids hunt.
Fantastic.
So, awesome.
And to give you an example, my granddaughter hunts with me. She's 14, and I bought her a ticket for all of the hunts, and so she'll be hunting with us as well. And she's one of the youngest members of the club, but she's no longer the youngest member. The youngest member is now my grandson, who is 12, and he'll be hunting in the kids' hunts.
That's awesome.
Wow. Awesome. Great question. Do we have any more questions for Mark that we missed? I know we've probably got a few more questions for you, too, on our list before we wrap it up. And then, let's see.
Well, I got some things I can tell you about.
Yeah, go for it.
So this may apply to some of the people out there because, a lot of people ask me, does Gail, my wife, metal detect? And she doesn't. And, but she loves going to all the events and, socializing with some of the other folks that don't metal detect because not everybody metal detects. But a lot of people like to go and just be a part of it. And Gail helps me sometimes with our events, either selling raffle tickets or anything like that. So she's always willing to help. But we did something really special. Last year was a very special year for us, 2021. After the Garrett Memorial Hunt, we actually went up to Kansas with KG and met his family. And we did a day of bottle digging up there. And even though Gail doesn't like to metal detect, or she doesn't metal detect, she absolutely loved bottle digging.
Really?
And so we spent the whole day bottle digging. And we brought a lot of bottles back, and we just had an absolutely fabulous time up there doing that. And then later in the year, we did the diamond. We did the diamond mining at the
at Mufreesboro.
Crater Diamonds, and she loved that.
Yeah.
It almost killed me because I had to carry the bucket of rocks back to the car. But she loved that, so she did that. And then the last thing we did, which is really cool. And Gypsy, I don't know if you know this story, but Gail is a direct descendant of somebody that came over on the Mayflower in 1620, Jon Howland. And so 2020 was the 400th anniversary of them coming over on the Mayflower. And I decided, without telling her, that we were going to go to Plymouth Plantation for the 400th anniversary of the first Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And so we went up there last year. We took the auto train up to Maryland, and then we drove our car the rest of the way up to Massachusetts. And we did Thanksgiving in Plymouth Plantation, which is really kind of a recreation. And what's kind of cool about that is they actually have people that reenact they actually talk like the people did back then, and they reenact the characters. And there's a reenactor for Jon Howland, her ancestor, which was kind of a weird thing to say, hey, I'm your great granddaughter, 11 generations removed. But anyway, that was a lot of fun. But what was neat about it was Layton Harrington. Do y'all know Layton Harrington up there in Massachusetts?
Mm-hmm. I know the name.
Layton's been He's been treasure hunting for over 50 years and invited us to go to a button dump in Massachusetts. And it was one of the most amazing things we've ever done. And Gail just absolutely loved it. And this button dump, I'm going to try to give you a verbal description of what it was. We went under a highway. We went under the highway. We came across the other side of the road. And we went up a hill, and then on the other side of the hill is a river. And on this hill is bushes and trees and everything else. And I'm looking around, and I said, well, where's the button dump? And he started laughing, and he said, well, you're looking at it. And I said, well, I'm looking at what? I don't see anything. He said, you see that hill you're looking at? I said, yeah. Well, that's the button dump. That hill is made up of decades and decades and decades of buttons being discarded. And I mean, for the people on the call here that may or may not know how this works, apparently what they did was they had a garment factory there, and they would send a ragman around to the town, and he would collect up all the old wool and cotton clothes, and they would take it back to the factory to recycle it, and they would cut all the buttons off, and then throw them out in the dump. And so I literally, with a pinpointer and a little digger, I sat in one hole all day long. Gail sat in another hole all day long, and we just dug buttons and just had the time. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, the buttons. I actually got a button that was from a New Jersey military institute. I did the research on it. It was the same military institute that General Norman Schwarzkopf went to as a kid. And when I posted it, somebody said, oh, did you know anything about that place? And then they told me about how he went there. But we found every make, and I mean, we found the oyster shell buttons.
Yep.
Dozens of those, all shapes and sizes, metal buttons, leather buttons, wood buttons, and other things that people had in their pockets. And we found things like suspender clips, bullets, full bullets, not fired bullets, things that people might have had in their pocket. And we found those along with all these buttons and stuff. So Gail did that too. So now each of us have our own button displays.
Button display.
Yeah. And so,
isn't it amazing go ahead. That is so awesome. It's good to know that she loves that side of the hobby, with the bottle digging, the dump digging, and the button dump, because there's nothing like those button dumps. Our listeners probably know far too much about button dumps, because Amanda and I got several videos together on button dumps. And the first time that Amanda brought me to a button dump, needless to say, I was in heaven for a whole year and couldn't wait to get back to the next till we finally went back again. And now I still have dreams about it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I do too. I mean, it was just a wonderful. And then Leighton took us all around and showed us, the whole area and gave us a tour. But just that experience for us to be able to do that together and then to come away with something that we could actually display was a lot of fun. So it made me think. There's so much, that metal detecting has led to. So there's, we can dive for megalodon teeth, the shark's teeth. We can dive for treasure, fossil hunting, button dumps, bottle digging. I mean, there's just so magnet fishing. There's just so many areas that we've all branched off into that. Yeah.
Mark, I've never done the megalodon teeth. That's still on my bucket list. So.
Well, we do that down here. We've got it. Gary Pinta has lined up several trips, and the next time we do it, we'll let you know if we're going to do it again.
Okay. Yeah, holler at me.
Would love to do that.
Another one of those bucket lister things for me. Speaking of bucket lists, before we close, tell us about, real quickly, one of your favorite finds ever, and then tell us something that you would like to maybe find a bucket list find, or white whale or something like that.
Yeah, so it's hard to, I think that it's really hard to say, well, this is my one favorite find, right? Because there's different things you find that have good stories behind it. But one that very meaningful to me was, we went down to a town in South Florida, that no longer exist. And the reason it doesn't exist anymore was the railroad bypassed it in the late 1800s. And so other towns grew up around it. But at one time, it was one of the most populous cities in Florida. Anyway, we went down there. We had the opportunity to get on the property that was the old courthouse and some other areas. And right next to it was an orange grove. And I had always wanted to dig or metal detect in an orange grove because I'd heard stories about the old times, back in the early 1900s. They would, migrants would pick the oranges, and the pickers would get paid in silver, and then sometimes they would bury it in the orange grove. So this was an incredibly hot day, and even hotter inside the orange grove. And I got a signal, and it was one of those things where you're like, and I know, Amanda, you get so many great, you talk about 1700s and stuff up there. That would be incredibly rare for us here, unless it's offshore. But anyway, I went down and started digging, and I got an 1853 half dime. And just in great shape. And, it was so strange. It was like, I was like an out-of-body experience for me, because I'm thinking, this dime has been here for a long time in an orange grove that's just sitting there. Right. And anyway, so it kind of just reaffirmed, going to that orange grove was the right thing to do, and that was actually one of my favorite finds. So anyway.
That is amazing. What an amazing story. I know that. So do you have a white whale, something you'd really love to find?
Oh, I think, any type of a gold coin would be great. I'm finding gold in Alaska is great, but, finding, I don't know what I would do if I found a gold coin, but if I found a gold coin, that would probably be my white whale.
Right. I think that is for most of us. I know Amanda's got another question to ask you before we close this out.
The one last, I know that we always enjoy asking, and if you could treasure hunt anywhere without any rules, where would you want to treasure hunt and why?
Wow. When you told me that, and I thought about it before, so I thought a lot about it, and I'm going to give you two quick answers. One is I've always thought it would be really cool to hunt metal detect in the White House lawn property, just see what's there. And the reason why is because just what would be the potential to find something there, historic for, for America. I would also want to hunt. I know you probably said one, but I would love to hunt ancient around the Sphinx and the Giza Plateau, just because I've studied ancient Egypt, and I can only imagine what could be there. And I guess my final answer to that is I came to the conclusion it's not where you hunt, it's who you hunt with. For me, who I hunt with and the people I do it with it almost not where you're hunting. You have those special places like the Button Dump that we talked about and going to Alaska and things like that. But what makes it special? It's the people you do it with. And for me, the more important question is, who am I doing these things with, that am I sharing experiences with, sharing the love of the hobby, sharing the love of the time and the day. And I don't know, I just made so many great friends in this hobby that, that's what it means to me.
Well, that is amazing. And I know it's the same for all of us as well. Especially the ones that, hang out in our chat and listen to us ramble sometimes. It's about the people and being able to share with each other all of these good times and fun times and even some of those hardships as well. But being there for each other and it's just an amazing group of people. I'm so glad we all have each other. And I know we're kind of running a little over, but real quick, Mark, they can find you on Facebook, correct? On Adventures in History.
They can, yeah. So it's Adventures in History. Just look it up just search for Adventures in History on, and I think Amanda put the link in there as well.
She did. She put the link in.
Yep.
And do you have is there any other social media where people can find you or anything else you would like to share?
Well, it's funny. I do
unchartedexpedition.com.
Right. All the websites that I own, and this is where you might run into this, I actually point them to other websites. So Adventures in History points to treasuresinamerica.com, and those are the guys I work with in Utah. And then Uncharted Expedition is the other one that, that's where we're going to be airing on November 25th, the first episode. So, yeah, Uncharted Expedition, treasuresinamerica.com, and Adventures in History on Facebook is really where we're at.
All right. And we have one last question for you before we close.
No more questions. I'm just kidding.
So I don't even know if we were going to ask this, but somebody mentioned it in chat. So if you could if you were to put on a superhero costume and you were able to obtain that superhero power of that superhero of that costume, what superhero would you be? And you could use this power in your hobby in metal detecting.
You mean somebody actually asked that question?
Yeah. Well, we ask that quite often. I don't know who came up with it, but it is funny. It's just like what we like to close with.
I would probably be the Invisible Man, and then I could go anywhere and do anything I want to do.
There you go. Then they would see that detector out there swinging, and they're like, "There's a ghost! Oh my goodness, it's the ghost of Marc Hoover." I love it. That's good. Good answer. Well, Mark, it's been a pleasure having you on here tonight, and we appreciate you being on here. It's wonderful. We're going to have you back on because I know you've got lots of adventures in history, so many stories to share as well that we didn't even get to tonight. But
didn't even scratch the surface.
We barely scratched the surface. So thanks again, Mark. It's been a pleasure, and thank you all of our listeners that are always here for us every week, and keep sharing. The great thing about this is you can go back and listen. And a lot of you travel in your car. You can hook it up and to your Bluetooth or whatever and listen in your vehicle while you're at work. Pop your earbuds in. So if you're not able to catch us live, be sure and share with your friends. And we appreciate you all and love you all, and y'all have a great night. Thanks a lot, y'all.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for coming on.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.